So it's finally here. Apple actually announced an Apple VR headset, but should you consider buying it? Today, I'm going to recap everything we know about the headset and whether I think it's worth purchasing and whether Meta might be in trouble with their Quest 3. So Apple at their WWDC event announced that they had one more thing to share, and that is of course the Apple Vision Pro. And now I don't quite know the best way to describe this headset. It's not quite virtual reality, it's not quite augmented reality. It's kind of like a hybrid of the two. And Apple is specifically not calling it a VR or AR headset. They're actually calling it a spatial computer. But it's basically a standalone headset with full color pass-through. So in this headset, you're able to see your full environment with elements of VR overlaid over the top. And Apple are using a brand new operating system called Vision OS, which looks very similar to the iPhone or iPad layout. And it also has a little dial where you can adjust how far you want to be immersed in reality or virtual reality by fading out your real life environment to a digital one. There's also no controllers. It relies entirely on hand tracking, which I was very skeptical about, but we'll chat more about that later. The other main feature, it also used eye tracking. So you use your eyes to navigate the menus and then pinch to select what you want. Now design-wise, this thing looks pretty futuristic. I think it's a lot bigger than what people anticipated. I think people thought it was going to be a super slick kind of sunglasses style, but this headset kind of looks like a pair of ski goggles. The front has a singular piece of three-dimensionally formed and laminated glass that houses all the cameras behind it to pull off the realistic mixed reality. The shell, in true Apple style, is made out of custom aluminium alloy frame that gently curves around your face, and the face cover is a soft textile that comes in a range of shapes and sizes that are designed to fit your face. From what I can gather, when you purchase a headset, you've got to go to an Apple store and scan your face so they can get a right fit for you. And the headband looks quite thick. I kind of like the design though. The speakers are also built into the head strap that are close to your ears and apparently offer advanced spatial audio. And the band is secured with the easy mechanism, so it's easy to swap it out or change it for third-party head strap. One of the most interesting factors about this headset is that there's no inbuilt battery, which is great because it means less weight on the headset, which means better comfort. But what isn't great is that it only offers 2 hours of battery life. Yikes. But that's because this headset is doing a lot behind the scenes. This thing has 2 processing chips. It has one of Apple's well-known M2 chips to power all the operating system processors and apps. And then they've created a brand new chip just for this headset called the R1 chip. And this chip is designed to manage all the cameras and sensors and processors that manage the mixed reality. There's 12 cameras and 3 sensors on the front of the headset, which do a mixture of things for the mixed reality, like reading your environment to feed it back into the headset, along with cameras to track your hands. There's also cameras built in so you can record what you're seeing and then watch it back in the headset, which feels very Black Mirror to me. There's also cameras and sensors built in for eye tracking. And something crazy this headset has is Optic ID, which is essentially a security feature where only your eyes can unlock the headset. But apparently, thanks to this extra R1 chip, everything's processed super fast, which will in turn reduce motion discomfort, which is really good if you are prone to VR sickness. Display-wise, it has micro OLED displays with 23 million pixels combined, which is pretty insane. Like, that's 64 times the pixel density of an iPhone. There's also a curved OLED panel at the front of the headset, so it displays things to people looking at you, which is mostly used for a feature called eyesight. So when someone's looking at you, it projects an image of your eyes so that person can see you looking at them, and it makes the headset look transparent, which I think is just really creepy. Like, it's cool, but it's like creepy, and I don't know how I feel about it. It gives me the jeebies. And what's also creepy is that when you first get the headset, you do a scan of your face and it creates a realistic 3D avatar of yourself so you can use it in FaceTime calls. And this thing looks weird. It's definitely got that uncanny valley feeling. Like, I don't know what's creepier, the Apple avatars or the Meta avatars. A lot of coverage of the keynote highlighted how the headset can be used for productivity and work and movie watching, but that's kind of about it. Like, there's some cool features like being able to have meetings with all these cool screens everywhere, or working with a 3D model in mixed reality. I especially think it's cool that you can sync it up with the MacBook and use your MacBook like a giant screen within the headset. I mean, watching a movie in this headset looks really cool. For $3,500, I could go to the cinemas 291 times instead of buying this headset. And that's right, this headset is $3,500 USD, which is like 5,200 in Australian dollar dues. Like, people complain that the Quest 2 is expensive. And I mean, there's a lot to unpack about this, but I'll say it right now, you probably don't want this headset. And if you do, it's probably because Apple did what they do best. They made you want it. Apple are great at making things seem cool and luxurious, and that really sucks people in. And there's plenty of suckers out there who will buy whatever product Apple releases. But am I one of those suckers? Absolutely. I am an Apple fangirl through and through. I used to work in an Apple store, I've drunk plenty of the Apple Kool-Aid, but in all honesty, I'll probably only buy this headset for the sake that it's my job to review VR headsets. I don't think I would buy one if that wasn't the case, I think. But here's why. This headset is not for me, and it's probably not for you either. And by that, I mean gamers. This device simply isn't a gaming headset. It's aimed at business folk and early adopters and rich people. And Apple are dipping their toes into the XR market for the very first time. They want to make sure it's something people want before making it something people can afford. And to do that, they need to make it accessible to an extent. There's a whole world of people out there who have never used a VR headset, let alone played a video game, which means they've never used a controller, which I think is a determining factor that's really going to restrict this from ever being a gaming headset. Touch controls suck in games. Like, there's plenty of great use cases, but I still find myself preferring controllers over hand tracking any day. You get tactile and haptic feedback when using a controller, which is so vital in so many games. It also gives you way more access to menus. Like, think of your favorite VR game and then imagine playing it with hand tracking. I struggle to think of any gaming experience that I would prefer hand tracking with, but I know that comes from a bias of being a gamer. I'd much rather play a video game on a console, for example, rather than a mobile device. I know they showcase that you can play Apple Arcade games on the headset with the controller. You can do that right now. You don't need this headset to do it. You can even do it in VR. This isn't something new or particularly exciting. But ultimately, it's going to be up to developers to create some interesting use cases for this headset that utilize hand tracking. And that's probably why Apple announced it so far from launch, because they know they need the apps to really sell this thing. And these apps need to be headset sellers, not just novelty experiences. I mean, this thing could completely flop for all we know. Reports from journalists and YouTubers seem pretty promising. Both seem pretty impressed with the headset and say the hand and eye tracking is pretty phenomenal. They say it's really responsive and intuitive, and they see it as a future replacement for the smartphone, not the next VR headset. I mean, in time, Apple may be able to reduce costs and make this headset a lot more accessible to more people, but I don't think Apple have given us any indication that they're interested in gaming. Whereas Meta has. I see so many people saying, oh no, Meta's in trouble. Apple owned Meta with this headset. But I think these products are in totally different fields. They're not even in competition with each other. If anything, I think this announcement is going to help Meta. Apple is helping out by really putting VR on the map. Apple are making these products cool and more well known in the common household. And Apple will hopefully show Meta how to actually make good user experiences for their VR headset. Because I think Meta could really learn a lot from Apple on how to make good quality products that people want. But currently, Meta is the only accessible VR gaming headset in the market right now. They have a huge opportunity to capitalize on VR gaming right now and really cement their place within this industry. In my opinion, they need to completely ditch all their efforts at social and productivity for VR. Apple have won the business and productivity market, and if they haven't won yet, they definitely will. Meta just won't be able to compete with Apple in terms of business and productivity hardware. But when it comes to gaming, they have absolutely no competition. So Meta needs to knuckle down and make the Quest 3 the gaming headset we've always desperately wanted.